The annual invasion has started. Hundreds of campervans and motorhomes are heading north to the Highlands and Islands of Scotland in search of beauty, peace and a holiday experience like no other. Now, I personally welcome all of you, but sadly not everyone shares my sentiments, and here's why. Recently, a 67-year-old man was charged by the police on the Hebridean island of Barra for emptying his campervan toilet cassette into a river. The man was charged with culpable negligence after disposing of human waste into the river's ecosystem under various environmental laws. And a report has been sent to the Procurator Fiscal. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this is a first in Scotland, and I welcome it. In fact, I hope the Fiscal throws the book at him. So why am I being so uncharitable? Because an irresponsible few are still spoiling things for the majority of campervan owners who are environmentally conscious and responsible. Last year, a group of youths in a hired motorhome filmed themselves on YouTube spraying human waste around in a lay-by on the North Coast 500 in Sutherland. Now, a number of people, including myself, contacted the police and reported the incident. The youths were traced, and although they weren't actually charged, they did offer to make a generous donation to the local community. Now, whether that actually happened or not, I have no idea, but I like to think it did. Now, let me say this. The vast majority of people who visit Scotland in campervans or in motorhomes are decent, law-abiding folk, many of whom actively pick up litter and tidy up laybys and car parks that have been, left as a bit of a tip by the general public. But sadly, motorhomers and campervanners have become targets for those who feel, for whatever reason, that their lives have become blighted by tourism. Now, the guy on Barra and the youths on the NC 500 simply fuel these prejudices. In the past month or so, I've also become aware of 3 places where no overnight parking signs have been erected. 3 places where overnighting was previously tolerated, in fact permitted. One of these places was a hotel car park where campervanners were welcomed if you go and buy a meal at night or a couple of drinks. But the hotel owner apparently found evidence of people using her garden as a toilet. And the final straw came when she looked out of her dining room window to see a campervan owner relieving himself in her garden in full view of all the hotel guests who were eating their breakfast at the time. That such behaviour is inexcusable and should not under any circumstances be tolerated. And those of us who are responsible campervanners or motorhomers need to become the eyes and the ears that report such behaviour to the police. The days of simply turning a blind eye and minding our own business is over. Because the litter louts, the despoilers, all those who spoil it for everyone else, must be made aware their behaviour will not be tolerated. And we don't want these louts as part of our community, a community that we have to cherish and protect. Okay, rant over. Scotland, of course, has a worldwide reputation for its access legislation, which allows members of the public to responsibly go for a walk or a bike ride to most areas of land. It also allows access to inland water for canoeists, people rowing, sailing and swimming. And if you want to act responsibly, you can pitch a tent for the night and sleep in it, provided you're out of sight of houses or roads. So what exactly is the legal situation in Scotland regarding spending a night in a campervan parked at the side of the road, either in a lay-by or in maybe a picnic area? Okay, first of all, and this is really important, travelling in a camper van or spending the night in a camper van does not come under the jurisdiction of Scotland's access legislation. These hard-won access rights only apply to non-motorised activities. Now, having said that, like many people nowadays, I use a camper van to take me to places where I can, go for a walk, ride my bike or paddle a canoe. I use the camper van for overnight accommodation, usually in an official campsite when possible. But at those times of the year when campsites are closed or in places where there are no official sites, I'll happily spend the night parked in a lay-by or somewhere quiet off the beaten track. My camper van allows me to visit areas where I can walk or cycle without the need for carrying a tent. I don't dump waste or litter, I don't light fires, and generally speaking, I arrive at dusk and leave early in the morning. Incidentally, I also buy fuel, I buy food and provisions from local shops, and if I'm near a pub that sells bad meals, so much the better. In short, I contribute to the local economy. Now, I've been using camper vans in Scotland for over 40 years, and I've never once had a problem when I've spent the night somewhere other than in an official campsite. However, it's clear that staying overnight in a camper van or indeed in a car in a lay-by is not covered by the land reform access legislation. And the sheer number of campervanners and motorhomes coming to Scotland now can create problems. So make yourself familiar with where and when you can't park overnight. Now, the legal situation is this. Parking, whether on a road or up to 15 metres off it, is lawful unless a traffic regulation order is in place and provided you don't do any damage. Black on yellow no parking overnight signs are not covered by a traffic regulation order. Non-prescribed signs such as this would require special approval from the Scottish ministers. And such an approval, as far as I'm aware, has never been given. So in effect, such signs are legal, but not enforceable. An enforceable prohibition of parking would require an appropriate traffic regulation order with signs and lines that comply with the traffic signs regulations. Now, these are in place in some car parks, but where they exist, there should be an explicit reference to the order. Now, my advice is this: don't get too screwed up about traffic regulation orders and the like. Instead, use your common sense and travel gently. If some local folk stick up a sign asking you not to park overnight at a particular spot, well, it means you ain't welcome there. So move on. Find somewhere else. Life's too short for hassling and arguing with people. Use campsites where possible, and in areas where such sites are in short supply, use lay-bys on public roads, but try and move on fairly early in the morning. You know, it's not unusual to see motorhomes in car parks and picnic areas with the curtains still drawn after 10 or 11 in the morning. Bear in mind there are many local folk who want to park and maybe walk their dog, and nothing pisses people off more than when they can't park in the usual parking place because a camper vanner is having a long lie and taking up their space. On narrow roads without lay-bys, please don't park in passing places. You can park on the verge or other pulling off place, but try and avoid soft ground where you might do damage. The best advice I can offer is to check out the CAMpRA website. This is the Campaign for Real Heirs. It's a UK-wide organisation, and the folk there are doing a fantastic job in encouraging local councils, community councils, politicians, farmers, all sorts of people to create a bit of space for low-cost, no-frills, overnight parking areas for campervans and motorhomes. Now, as many of you will be aware, such airs are commonplace on the continent and in Scandinavia. Indeed, the UK appears to stand alone on not taking campervans seriously. It's crazy. There are many thousands of us now, and numbers are increasing. So surely it's in the country's best interest to welcome this kind of tourism and create an infrastructure that allows us to coexist happily with other forms of tourism. Now, here in Scotland, there are loads of new airs opening up all the time. Forestry and Land Scotland, formerly the Forestry Commission, is in its fourth year of welcoming campervanners to some of the many forest car parks in their Stay the Night scheme. Again, I'll put the details down below. Now, one thing I've noticed when touring in England is that there are many pubs and hotels now welcoming campervanners. And the deal is usually this: you can stay overnight in the hotel car park if you buy a meal in the bar, or sometimes just have a few drinks. And there's an increasing number in Scotland too. So it's worth checking out apps like Park 4 Night or Search for Sites. And again, I'll put the relevant information down below here. And of course, we have plenty of campsites in Scotland. Although, I admit, some are becoming prohibitively expensive. You can expect to pay on average, I think, about £25 to £30 a night, but some are charging an awful lot more than that. And I know there's a cost of living crisis going on, and that prices are going through the ceiling for all of us, including campsite owners. But I personally refuse to pay some of the prices that are being asked these days. And I know plenty of you folk probably feel the same. Now, I'm a great fan of the little simple certified sites listed in the two main camping clubs, the Camping and Caravanning Club and the Caravan and Motorhome Club. These are usually small, often in farms, and often much better value than the main club sites. But hey, that's just my opinion. And I know lots of folk love their camping and caravanning club sites with swimming pools, bars, children's play areas, hobbit houses and all the rest, each to their own. Okay, so maybe it's time to sum up, I think. Once you've dragged yourself away from the negativity that seems to thrive on social media, you'll find that in reality, campervanners are very welcome in Scotland. Although Scotland's much admired access arrangements don't actually apply to motor vehicles, tolerance levels with regard to parking up for the night is still pretty positive, provided you act responsibly and use common sense. Now, I've already mentioned what you shouldn't do, but it leaves a good vibe if you think of tidying up anywhere you park for the night. Leave things better than when you found it. Folk appreciate that. You can buy these litter pick-me-ups pretty cheaply. And if we make a point of clearing up litter, we, the campervan community, can be seen by people as a force for good. And remember the golden rules: go softly in the wild places. Leave nothing but the odd footprint, and take nothing but photographs and plenty of great memories. And if you actually act responsibly, Scotland will welcome you time and time again. Cid mila fáilte. That means 100,000 welcomes. So stay safe out there, enjoy your visit to Scotland, act responsibly, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.